moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Giorgio Magistrelli.
Thank you very much, Steven. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the very interesting presentations. What was very common on all your presentation was the importance of data security and how the certification in this direction is going in your company. So we'll start with you, Antonio. You've been the last one, so be the first one. Okay. How ALSTOM is taking care of data security in general and with specific attention to additive manufacturing applications?
Okay. With the data security and with the certification, it's clear that we manage by own. We have an IP department that really fight with each one of the suppliers in order to either to regulate the way in which the IP it's managed. The question is how once the IP becomes on your side, how you can be responsible of the performance once the manufacturer of this piece, even if you have design on your side, that does not on you. Then with our customer and with our supplier, we have a escrow account on which the data and the designs becomes and relies in a safe way, but now it's really an open field to be advanced day by day.
Thanks. Jeroen, the same question to you. The microphone, yes.
Thank you.
Regarding standardization.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a request from China only recently. They wanted to establish a standard for operating a platform and cloud-based computing for additive. We made an ad hoc group to investigate and found out that although it is a topic and may become even more a topic for AM, cloud computing is nothing that belongs to our additive manufacturing committee. That's why we passed this over to JTC1 on ISO. Mm-hmm. They are taking care of this. As soon as this is obviously some additive aspects in there, and this cloud computing thing, we may probably assist or help, but for the moment it's not a topic in standardization of AM.
Thank you. Ulli, Siemens is a large group. For sure you have these kind of issues and how you tackle them.
Well, let me state first that as soon as it comes to 3D printing and it comes to additive manufacturing, then the first issue that always arises or that comes up quite quick is so how do you handle copycats and how do you manage data security? Well, the first thing that you really have to set into relationship or kind of point out in detail is that simply by having the data does not mean you can produce the part. There's a lot more to it than knowing the material and knowing the properties and knowing having the CAD data. You also have to have the CUM data, and then you also have to have the process variables that run on the machine. So there's a lot more to it, and it's not just having the file and then hitting the printing button and having the part copied. That's number one. But on the other hand, we also have it based in our organization, so we have a CDO taking care of it, and a lot of people are, since there are some issues, looking at it very, very closely. And from a technical side, then if you never own the data, you cannot copy the data. So a very, very clear, simple approach, and we've learned a lot from the streaming industry. When I personally, privately watch a movie and I do it on pay-per-view, I never have the data and I can never store the data and I can never watch the movie again if I don't pay again. So that's what we do. We basically encrypt the data and we send it to the machines and produce it on site, precisely where and when and how many times we sketched it out, and afterwards the data is not available. That's one very clear issue that we take, and the second one is coming from the gas turbine business or from the turbine business. We do print a lot of our gold nuggets. So everything that we are producing today with additive manufacturing turns out to be a very high in IP, and distinguish us within the market. So we take a very simple step, and although we do democratize and although we do internationalize our production, it is Siemens facilities, and we do not take this IP outside. We produce it within the Siemens organization, and thereby can grant, as good as we can with the IP all the time, no USB sticks, that the data remains within our company.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
only-
please, Antonio, if you
No,
want
yes,
to comment.
only, answering you, I fully agree with you. Inside our organization is quite easy, but as you know, more and more in emerging countries and in emerging clients, more and more they want to increase their manufacturing capabilities, to share the contracts with us. We will be obliged to share the data with them, because the contracts will regulate that. Then it's a reality.
No, I fully agree. I mean, this is our approach. This is what we go into negotiations with. And then this is the position we like to keep.
Okay.
Thank you. And Stefanie, if you can comment both on the side of Deutsche Bahn, and also if you can share about what happens in Mobility Goes Additive in terms of data security.
Within Mobility Goes Additive, we're absolutely sure that we have to take care of such questions. So it's really interesting because you have like different positions on sharing data, but in the rail industry and also other industries. So companies which produce trains, infrastructure, or other things, of course, they would like to take care of their IP rights. As a maintainer, we would like to share more so that we can easier reproduce parts and can also reduce our stock costs. And therefore, we have to find solutions. And what might be a good solution is something which Siemens also introduced in the field, where you have like a virtual warehouse and where you can order your printed parts. And the more data, the more CAD files you can order, the more interesting it will get. But therefore, we also have to take care of the liability, and that not everyone can copy or copycat. This is very crucial, because if we also in the future will send data to Ottawa, Singapore, wherever, to have them printed there, we have to make sure that no one else can copy them, because we have the liability for the spare parts then if we operate trains or whatever there. So this is very crucial.
Sorry for the question. You showed in your presentation one old, let's say, called old train. How do you manage the fact that maybe these parts are not in the warehouse anymore, or even the blueprints are not so easy to be found anymore because the pieces are old? How do you manage it? You reverse engineering, or you redesign it, eventually needed part?
We have to do this, otherwise we don't have the drawings for this part. And what I haven't mentioned before is that we don't print ourselves. So we rely totally on printing service bureaus. And so we don't own any own machines except for some Ultimakers with which we can't do spare parts. So we rely on our partners like Siemens and like some others, and we would like to encourage the whole sector to print more.
Perfect. Jeroen, and the same question with relation to your company, to Atos.
Yeah, for us it's a little different because we don't own a direct product.
Exactly.
But we do cooperate with our customers who have these problems. And I think it's very important. It's like a combination, as Ulli said, that you can have the data, but doesn't mean that you can produce it in a correct way, which is indirectly a direct threat, you might say, because people who have your data and printing the parts don't comply with the quality. So it's important to have a common ID. And I think it's also very important, as you mentioned, the standards which might go behind of them, to find a common solution to be able to cope with the security data. I think it's vital to be able to really make the second pass, the technology.
Totally. Thanks a lot. You talk about standardization. There's one question that I would like to ask to Jorg with concern to the activities of ISO TC261 and which are the sectors which, according to your experience, are more active in demanding standards for additive manufacturing and which are not?
We can say it's all driven by additive manufacturing in aerospace.
Okay.
It's the highest level that we as a supplier have to achieve, but it's aerospace. They are all requesting, and I hope that we can learn from this. Followed by automotive, rather not. Nothing from medical up to now. Energy, a little bit, but it's mainly aerospace.
Okay. Do you have an explanation for the reason why aerospace is active? Is clear. Why the others are not?
The ones using additive manufacturing are those who have the highest need for it.
Yeah.
To have the highest pain, and probably they have the highest pain in the parts they have to do, and then it's additive is a solution.
Yeah.
And then now they push it. They push it over my high hill. They push it through the valley. They push it to production.
Okay.
Yeah. And then of course they need standards for this.
Thanks.
That may be the reason.
Thanks a lot. Ulli, one of the key words of your presentation was democratization. And I've been knowing you for quite some time. I know how inspired and inspiring you are on additive manufacturing. Did you see in the past, and you still see now, inside your company, that everyone is buying the concept and applications of additive manufacturing, or there are still some people, some departments to be convinced about additive?
Well, everybody within Siemens is fully on additive manufacturing. Nobody would believe that. And I think Siemens more or less represents, and we are a very, very big organization, very much represents the public in general. We have a lot of people, and also the innovation cycles. We have a lot of people that really are pushing additive manufacturing. Martin Schäfer is probably very commonly known since over 15 years. Within the company, and they really started off and found and identified and worked out the benefits of additive manufacturing. And what really is helping us a lot is we had these challenges with all these very technical, grumpy people that wanted to have facts and details and references. And if we don't have this proven, we cannot take this into the turbine. Yeah, that's true. So we came up with these, and it really helped us. I mean, I'm putting this a little bit to a comic now, but it really helped us because it forced us to really get into details and work on the hiccups and work out the details and everything and the roadblocks. So we really came up with references. We came up with we tried to create confidence, and confidence basically is created through time and through amount. So the burner tip I showed before that we've produced 800 times, more than 800 times today. They are in the market and they are running, and some of them are actually largest number of those are running for over 20,000 hours. So every grumpy, and I love them, I really like working with them, and I love it when they give me a hard time. All these technicians, you come back and you say, well, look, we enhanced the performance of the part, we reduced the fuel amount, we reduced the CO2 emission, the parts are better in performance, they run without any failure for over 20,000 hours, and this is not only a pilot part, but it's various, and I would actually call it mass production parts that are in the field and that are proving themselves. And this is how we are creating confidence, and this confidence we can really see through all levels and throughout all pieces or parts of the process house is really gaining acceptance. from R&D to sales, in marketing, in communications, also in our BA, and also up to our management level. So really from the people who design the parts up to our board, they're getting more and more enthusiastic about the topic, and as we are making it more and more real and industrializing it. Yeah.
Thanks. And what is the experience in Deutsche Bahn?
Totally different. We don't have any grumpy people. We don't look at television. No. For us, it's exactly the same. So when we come, as I just mentioned, to our maintenance sites, those guys who work there, they are paid for producing safety. That's what they want to work for. And if you come with something new, of course, you have to overwhelm them on the one hand and do the certifications which are needed. And no one wants to sit in a train which is not safety. So we have to cope with this. But what really helps is if you have the first certifications for parts. And when we did the terminal box, the 2.5 kilogram aluminium thing, and we tested it, and we know now for sure it's even safer and better than the former part, then you can really get the people. And what I always say, if you want to introduce 3D printing in a company or a corporate, this is not only a technology subject, it's more a change management subject.
Yeah.
You have to reach the heads and the hearts of the people.
Absolutely. Jeroen, is additive manufacturing totally accepted in ATOS, or?
I think from a technology point of view, it's more easy to convince the people.
Yeah.
In the end, the technology will be auto-convincing because there will be a lot of examples which will be very touchable and illustrating for all the people. Within our organization, it was really useful to search for the technologies, the IT technologies which are present, and apply them on additive manufacturing. For example, the data analytics is a perfect tool, or might be a perfect tool, to control the process. So it was more searching within the organization which technologies which are already applied on other cases can be applied on additive manufacturing. And I'm sure that a combination of all of it will make it a good outcome.
Yeah. And Antonio, you have been an early adopter of additive manufacturing, but there is still someone to be convinced in the Yes.
No, yes, for sure. But when you are talking about democratization, I think the additive manufacturing processes will be democratized as far as you are giving the power to the teams to improve and to modify the way they are doing things. When you mix 3D manufacturing or additive manufacturing with lean manufacturing processes, redesigning of the processes, plugging the technology inside of the process, and let the people to bring their ideas, to test by own, to change, and to feel that they are really empowered to change the way they are doing things in a day-to-day. Instead of being the methods engineers on the fifth floor saying how they have to perform. When we are doing that, the people became believers of that.
And you took the example of the fact that you are involved in Dubai 2020. Do you see, let's say, regional differences in terms of buying the concept of additive? For example, the Europeans are more keen on it because they have been working with it on a more time, or in Dubai because Dubai is investing a lot in new technologies? Or
as soon, in that case, really, it's the word for him. That means as soon as the material and the pieces fulfill the standards, the Europeans will be fully pro.
Okay.
Why? Because we used to live among this standard, and as we produce safety, as you have said, it's a really good word. At that stage, we have to continue on this safe environment. The rest of the world began with those standards, and there are believers of the technology or fancy people like Qatar, Emirates, and so on, that they want to be just at the top of the technology they want to test. But for a wide usage, as soon as the standard will be fulfilled, Europe will be just at the top.
Thanks a lot. Well, thank you very much to everyone. And please, Stephen, floor is yours.
We should do a wonderful round of applause. Very important information.